Happy May the 4th, everyone. It is officially Star Wars Day.
May the 4th be with you.
And with you. And, you know, what better day to dive into something really cool we've been looking at?
Oh, yeah. What's that?
How, like, the gadget design and all the tech in Star Wars has, well, actually influenced the real world. We've got some great stuff here showing it's more than just movies.
It really is amazing, isn't it, how this fictional universe has had such a real impact. Not just, fun films, but actual products, actual technology being developed.
Totally. That pull of Star Wars tech, lightsabers, droids, all of it, it's surprisingly strong.
Incredibly potent, yeah.
Exactly. So you think about lightsabers, R2-D2, starships, they're like way more than just props now. They're symbols that have genuinely sparked creativity. So the big question for this deep dive is, how has all that amazing, fantastical Star Wars tech actually shaped our reality?
Right. Where do we even start?
Well, let's kick off with the look, the visual style. What makes Star Wars look like Star Wars?
Okay, good starting point. Because a huge part of that is this idea of the used future.
Ah, the used future. I love that term. It's so descriptive, right?
It really is.
This idea that everything in Star Wars looks well used. Worn down, dirty, always needing a fix.
Like the Millennium Falcon.
Exactly. Always seems one jump away from falling apart.
Yeah.
It's such a contrast to, say, Star Trek, where everything's so pristine and clean.
Precisely. And that was intentional. George Lucas apparently wanted a grungy world you could live in.
Really?
Yeah, he looked at stuff like World War II tech, Vietnam-era gear, things that looked like they'd actually done something, seen some action.
That makes sense. It gives everything a history, doesn't it? A feeling that it's been around, worked hard.
Unlike that sort of untouched, fresh-out-the-box future you sometimes see.
Yeah, and it feels more real somehow. Almost the opposite of, our modern planned obsolescence, where stuff feels designed to break.
Right, and that used look, it does more than just set a visual tone. It subtly hints at the history within the Star Wars galaxy.
How so?
Well, the tech often looks old, maybe even cobbled together. It suggests this long history, maybe cycles of advancement and, stagnation, forgetting things.
Like they built the Death Star, which is insane engineering, but maybe lost how they did it before.
Something like that, yeah. It implies knowledge could be lost and then, maybe painfully relearned. It's not just a straight line of progress.
It suggests a much richer, more complex technological past.
Okay, so speaking of complex, greebles and nurnies.
Ah, yes.
Greebles.
Sounds like something Chewie would complain about finding in the Falcon's engine.
Could be. They're basically terms the model makers used for all that fine, intricate detailing you see on the surface of big things like starships.
All those little bumps and panels and pipes.
Exactly. Tiny shapes, textures, little components. They just suggest complex machinery underneath.
So it's not just for looks, it implies function.
Well, it makes things look functional and definitely more tangible. Think about a Star Destroyer's surface. It's not smooth.
No, it's covered in stuff. Right, that's the greebling. It breaks up the flat surfaces, hints at mechanical depth, and crucially, it really helps sell the scale.
Makes them feel enormous.
Totally. And interestingly, it might have started as just a practical trick. Yeah, like maybe to hide seams or imperfections on the original models, a clever fix that became a core part of the look.
That's brilliant. Resourceful. Okay, another thing I find really striking is the sort of retrofuturism.
Cassette futurism.
Yeah, it's advanced tech, but it looks like it was designed in like the 70s, all those physical buttons and switches.
Absolutely. The cockpits especially, packed with levers, dials, blinking lights. Not sleek touchscreens, it's been called mainframe chic too.
It feels very tactile, very analog.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You see echoes of real aircraft cockpits, industrial design, even old car dashboards.
And it gives you this feeling like you could actually reach out, flip that switch, maybe even fix it yourself if you have the right tool.
The famous hyperspanner.
Right. It suggests this value on direct control, robustness, maybe things you need in a rough galaxy.
Yeah, it's a philosophy where the user seems more directly connected to the machine, not just tapping on glass. It's quite different from where a lot of our real tech has gone,
For sure. And, okay, we have to talk about the silhouettes.
Oh, absolutely fundamental.
Just the shape. X-Wing, TIE Fighter, Star Destroyer, Falcon, instantly recognizable. Powerful visual shorthand.
Crucial. Especially in fast action scenes, you need that clarity. An X-Wing looks like an X-Wing, and even though the style evolved, the prequels got slicker.
Right, Naboo tech versus the original trilogy's ruggedness.
That core principle of unique, memorable shapes stayed consistent.
It's that mix, isn't it? Simple geometric forms like the TIE Fighter's ball cockpit and panels, but then covered in all that greeble detail.
Exactly. And they even cleverly weave in familiar architectural shapes sometimes, like you mentioned with Naboo, which makes these alien places feel oddly grounded.
It's genius. And we should definitely mention the designers who actually created this look.
Oh, for sure. Ralph McQuarrie's concept art, that was the blueprint. Absolutely foundational, set the whole visual tone.
His paintings are legendary. And then you had people on the ground like Roger Christian, the set decorator.
Yes, he was key to making that used future real. Incredibly resourceful guy.
How so? What did he do?
Well, he used found objects, like the original lightsaber hilt. That was made from an old Graflex camera flash gun.
No way.
Yeah. And R2-D2 incorporated bits of scrap metal from airplanes. It was this process called kit bashing, taking parts from different kits or objects and combining them into something new.
That sounds like maker culture today, or upcycling.
Exactly. It shows how creativity, even on a budget, can create something truly iconic. And later designers like Doug Chiang built on that, really emphasizing how designs fit their environment.
So when you boil it down, despite all this thought, aesthetics and story seem to win out over, like, hard science realism.
Oh, definitely. That's a really key point. Think about it. Hardly any wheels anywhere. Everything hovers.
Yeah, land speeders, speeder bikes.
Holograms everywhere. Super common. And the lightsaber itself, cool as it is in a galaxy with blasters, is it the most practical weapon? Probably not.
It's more about the rule of cool and the samurai movie vibe.
Exactly. It comes back to technology and Star Wars being fundamentally a tool for art, for world building, for telling the story.
Okay, so we've got the look, the feel, the philosophy. Now the really juicy part. How has this screen fantasy actually inspired real gadgets?
Right, the direct impact.
Let's start with the big one. The weapon to end all weapons. The lightsaber.
Ah, the lightsaber. Is there anything more iconic, that blend of future tech and, like, ancient sword tradition?
It's captured imaginations for decades. And people have tried to build them, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. Some pretty impressive attempts. You've got groups like Hacksmith Industries on YouTube.
I've seen those. They use, like, superheated plasma.
Yeah, flammable gases creating these intense beams that can actually cut things. They even got a Guinness World Record for a retractable one.
Wow, and then there are companies selling those high-powered laser pointers and saber hilts.
The laser sabers, yeah, they look the part, mostly. But scientifically speaking.
Yeah, the whole beams of light clashing like swords thing. That's not really how light works, is it?
Not even close, unfortunately. Photons just don't interact like that. So actual dueling plasma blades, still firmly science fiction for now.
Okay, so no duels anytime soon. But what about blasters? The energy weapon side of things. Are we seeing real-world progress there?
Actually, yes. High-energy laser systems, or HELs. Militaries around the world are developing them.
Like laser cannons?
Sort of. The U.S. Navy, Air Force, Army, they've all shown off lasers that can take down drones, disable boats, even shoot down mortars.
Okay, so not quite Han Solo's blaster pistol yet.
No, not handheld, but definitely directed energy weapons are becoming a reality, a big step in that direction.
Right. From weapons to, well, companions,
Yeah.
droids. R2-D2, C-3PO, they must have had a huge influence on robotics.
Oh, absolutely massive. Think about it. Droids with distinct personalities, different jobs, levels of intelligence. They completely shaped how we imagine robots could be.
Lucasfilm even trademarked droid, right?
They did. Shows how central it was. And you look at robotics today, it's incredible. We have robots that can run and jump like Boston Dynamics Atlas.
Those are amazing, if slightly terrifying.
Right. Robots designed for really complex human interaction, like a Mecha from Engineered Arts, robots working remotely, social robots like Pepper, even robots up on the space station.
So we're getting closer.
In some ways, yes. Real robots are amazing in specific areas, but they don't quite have that blend, you know? The autonomy, the versatility, the smarts, and that integrated personality all in one package, like R2 or 3PO.
They like the charm.
Maybe Star Wars really showed us the breadth of what droids could be, the potential. We're still working towards that integrated whole.
Okay, and sticking with characters. Luke Skywalker's hand. That scene in Empire.
So iconic and incredibly influential for prosthetics.
Really? Directly influential.
Absolutely. There's an advanced prosthetic arm system called the DECA arm. People literally call it the LU arm. It was explicitly inspired by that vision of a near-natural bionic hand. And research is constantly pushing forward better materials, robotics, sensors, computer control. trying to get closer and closer to replicating a biological limb.
Even with sensory feedback.
That's the goal, yeah. Making prosthetics that feel and function almost identically to the real thing, including things like touch sensation, artificial skin. It's amazing work.
That's incredible. And it's not just the tech, right? Star Wars has had a positive cultural effect, too.
Definitely. Mark Hamill himself has supported groups like Open Bionics who make these cool Star Wars-themed prosthetic covers for kids. Makes them feel like heroes.
That's fantastic, turning a challenge into something empowering.
Exactly. And you even see fans 3D printing their own Star Wars-inspired covers. It's that connection between fiction and making a real difference.
All right, moving on. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Holograms.
A true Star Wars staple. From Leia's message to technical readouts on the Death Star.
Did Star Wars invent the idea?
Not really. Basic holography existed before, but Star Wars absolutely popularized it, made it seem like everyday tech in that universe.
And are we getting there in the real world?
We're trying. There are things like Icon's Rise accessory for smartphones. It projects 3D holograms you can see without glasses.
Oh, cool.
And lots of research into interactive holograms, even ones you could potentially touch, haptic feedback.
But it's not quite like the movies yet, is it? Where they just pop up anywhere, full color, totally stable.
No, not yet. Real-world holograms are still often kind of specific niche things, displays, some entertainment uses, not quite the ubiquitous communication tool from the films, but the dream is there.
Driven by that Star Wars image, no doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, what about getting around all those hover vehicles?
Land speeders, speeder bikes. Yeah, the almost complete lack of wheels is very noticeable.
Deliberate choice, you think?
Seems like it. Definitely adds to the sci-fi feel. And it has inspired real tech. We've seen actual hovercraft prototypes, hover bikes.
Like that Aero X.
Yeah.
Or the Lazarus flying motorcycle.
Exactly. Though the real ones tend to have pretty limited flight times and range compared to Luke's land speeder just zipping across the desert.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. And then you have the drone enthusiasts building amazing flying replicas of the Millennium Falcon TIE fighters.
Those are so cool.
Totally. And while, hyperdrive is still pure fiction, real advancements in space propulsion like ion thrusters and even things like eVTOLs, electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, they kind of echo that desire for faster, more versatile transport we see in Star Wars.
So even if we're not jumping to light speed, the inspiration is there. Okay, beyond these direct tech examples, the aesthetic itself is just soaked into everything, hasn't it? Consumer products everywhere.
Oh, absolutely everywhere. It's incredible. You see it in watches Nixon, Citizen, Cross, Devon, all drawing on characters, ships.
Computer gear too, right? I think I saw a mouse shaped like an Imperial shuttle.
The BM1 mouse, yeah. Lambda shuttle inspired. Audio Gear Logitech did a Mandalorian headset with Beskar textures.
And the replicas, helmets, lightsabers. People build entire home theaters looking like the Death Star.
Tom Spina Designs does amazing stuff like that. Plus all the toys and collectibles, Lego, Hasbro, Hot Toys, Sideshow, designer toys too. It's endless.
And everyday stuff. Headphone stands, concept cameras, art prints, car air fresheners, fancy pens.
Yeah.
Even furniture concepts.
And fashion, of course. Apparel collaborations drawing on characters, factions, the whole look and feel. Rodart did those amazing gowns. Columbia does themed jackets.
It really shows how powerful that visual identity is.
Yeah.
Those shapes, colors, textures, symbols, they just resonate and people want them on their stuff.
It's instant recognition, instant connection for fans.
Okay, we put together a table, didn't we? Comparing some key Star Wars tech to real world stuff. It really lays out the gap.
It does, but that gap is important. Like we noted, Star Wars serves as a kind of benchmark for imagination.
Sets the bar high.
Exactly. Gives engineers and designers these ambitious goals to aim for, even if they seem impossible now. And you see those two clear paths of influence. Deep inspiration driving serious R&D.
Like the Luke arm.
Right. And then leveraging the look for commercial products for that aesthetic appeal.
And sometimes they meet, right? Like with the prosthetics, where the inspired tech becomes real, reinforcing the cultural power of Star Wars, and maybe inspiring more innovation.
It's a fascinating feedback loop, yeah. The imagined becomes real, which fuels more imagination.
So, okay, Star Wars inspired gadgets and aesthetics, but it also triggered broader tech ripples, especially in how movies themselves are made.
Oh, massively. George Lucas's vision for the original Star Wars was so ambitious, the existing technology just couldn't do it. So he basically had to invent the tools.
Which led to Industrial Light and Magic, ILM.
Exactly. And one of their first huge breakthroughs was motion control. the Dexterflex camera system.
Sounds complicated. What did it actually do?
It was basically a computer-controlled robotic camera rig, built on some earlier ideas, but ILM perfected it. It allowed them to move the camera precisely over and over around the miniature models.
Ah, for the space battles.
Precisely. Those swooping dynamic shots. Impossible before. It also let them perfectly layer different shots together compositing. It revolutionized visual effects.
And other studios started using?
Immediately, it became the standard. All driven by the need to tell that specific Star Wars story. Art-driving technology.
Amazing. And it wasn't just motion control, was it? Blue screen work got a boost too.
Yeah, blue screen compositing wasn't new, but Star Wars really pushed it, refined it, made it possible to seamlessly combine actors, models, backgrounds filmed separately, gave filmmakers huge creative freedom.
And computers, CGI. Star Wars was early there too.
Pioneer stuff. The Death Star briefing sequence in the first film, that used some of the earliest 3D wireframe graphics in a major movie.
Just lines, basically.
Yeah. And then, fast forward to the prequels. Love them or hate them, they pushed digital effects way forward. Digital characters like Jar Jar, fully digital sets.
Controversial, but groundbreaking for the time.
Definitely laid the groundwork for a lot of modern CGI, yeah.
And the sound. We can't forget the sound.
Ben Burtt, a legend. His whole approach was revolutionary. Using real-world sounds, but twisting them, manipulating them.
Like the lightsaber hum. Or the TIE fighter screech.
Exactly. Created from things like old TV static and elephant roars mixed with car sounds. Genius. And Lucasfilm wasn't happy with how theater sounded.
So they invented THX.
Pretty much. They developed the THX certification standard to guarantee high-fidelity sound, surround sound, push the whole industry forward in cinemas and home theaters.
Wow. And motion capture later on, too, right? For characters like Gollum. Oh, wait. Wrong franchise, but Jar Jar Maz Kanata.
Yes, absolutely. The prequels and sequels really advanced motion capture, letting actors drive the performance of CGI characters.
The Star Wars didn't just show us a cool future. It literally helped build the tools to create modern entertainment. That's incredible.
It really is, and that influence extends even to things like interface design.
Those blinking lights and chunky buttons again.
Yeah, that whole UI aesthetic. Physical switches, vector graphics. It emphasizes tangibility, direct feedback. You feel like you're operating machinery.
Even though our real tech is all minimalist touchscreens now.
Right. But that Star Wars style persists. Why? Maybe because it visually communicates complexity and function. It makes powerful systems look powerful. You feel like you can see the gears turning,
I get that. There's a reassuring quality to it.
And it's still relevant in fields where that tactile feedback is crucial. Industrial controls, aerospace, even accessibility design sometimes.
Interesting. And beyond the tech itself, just the idea of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's inspired countless people to go into science and engineering, right?
Oh, undoubtedly. It's been a massive source of inspiration for STEM careers for decades. Seeing that kind of imagination on screen makes you want to build it.
And engineers actually use Star Wars concepts sometimes.
Yeah.
As, analogies.
They do. We found examples like an engineer analyzing a TIE fighter's theoretical radar signature to understand principles applicable to real stealth tech.
Seriously. Using simulation software on a TIE fighter.
Yep. Or using Darth Vader's life support suit as a framework for thinking about better assistive systems for people with, say, invisible disabilities. Or comparing Lobot cybernetics to brain-computer interfaces.
So science fiction isn't just escapism. It can be a tool for thinking.
Exactly. A way to frame problems, explore possibilities through analogy. It's a valuable creative spark.
So wrapping things up, why has this all endured? Why does Star Wars design still feel relevant, not dated like some other old sci-fi?
Well, partly that clever a long time ago framing, right? It's sidesteps having to look more futuristic than today.
Good point. It's not predicting our future.
And that used future look inherently suggests things last. They're durable. Plus, the tech in the universe seems kind of universally compatible across different times and planets. It feels cohesive.
How did they achieve that?
By deliberately not just following the trendy futuristic looks of the 70s when it was made. They grounded it in older, more timeless visual language, WWII, classic cars, etc.
And it's that mix too, isn't it? Mythology and tech.
Masterful fusion. The lightsaber is a laser sword, but it's also Excalibur. The Force is mystical, but you have hyperdrives.
And using those familiar design influences makes the fantasy feel relatable.
Exactly. Plus, there's that tension in the tech itself, really advanced stuff, alongside quite mundane limitations. Just like Real technology development, messy, uneven progress.
And that whole lived-in universe idea again. The dirt, the repairs.
Makes it feel real, tangible. You constantly see maintenance happening. Technology needs upkeep. It's not magic.
Which kind of implies user agency, maybe even a repair culture, which is quite different from our often black box tech today.
A really interesting contrast. And of course, new Star Wars stuff, shows, movies, games, they keep referencing and building on those core design ideas.
Keeping it alive, inspiring new merchandise, fan creations, tech projects.
That cycle continues.
So yeah, it's pretty clear. Star Wars influence on gadgets, on tech, on design. It's deep, it's persistent, and it goes way beyond just looking cool on screen.
Absolutely. It shaped how things look, what engineers aspire to build, the tools filmmakers use, and it keeps firing up imaginations in STEM fields.
Down to that timeless feel, that blend of myth and machine, the gritty reality of the used future, and just its power to keep inspiring.
It really is a blueprint for the imagination, as you said earlier, a testament to how fiction can genuinely shape our world.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other stories, maybe from books or games today, might be quietly seeding ideas for our future tech? Or, put it to you listening,
Yeah.
if you could have one piece of Star Wars tech right now, what would it be? And maybe more importantly, what real problem could it help solve? Something to ponder.
Definitely food for thought.
And on that note, may the Force and the Fourth be with you.